thanks so much for joining us today. This is Paul with Acting Texas, and I'm here interviewing Mykle McCoslin, who is not only an actor, professional actor here in the Houston area, but also our local president for SAG and AFTRA.
Yeah, it really kind of all happened because of my Grandma Elvis.
Yeah, okay,
yeah.
Okay. And you're writing...
And I'm writing a book about my Grandma Elvis that I've had the idea for since I was in college. She introduced me to make-believe. And she lived in the country. It was between here and Dallas in the small town called Doney, Texas, which is known, which is really known, but I say it's the smallest town in Texas with a bank.
Okay. Okay.
It's like nowhere. It's off I-45 when you're heading up to go to Dallas. And I would go there at 4 and 5 years old, and it was just this make-believe land. It was just, there was trees, and my grandfather was a carpenter, and he built every house that they lived in, and the upstairs of the house that they, all their kids had gone, married in college at the time, so it was just me coming to visit Grandma and Grandpa. And my grandmother had converted the whole upstairs of the house to my playhouse. She had bought me a stove and icebox and had it all set up with dishes, and she would climb up the stairs, and I'd already be in there setting the table for tea and coffee. And we had this game where we were Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Johnson.
Okay.
And granted, I'm 4 and 5, but I'm like a professional. I'm like a wife and a mother. And so we would play Mrs. Jones and Mrs. Johnson, and it was the introduction to improvisation. Then she took me to see the movie Grease. And that is when I was floored, because I was watching these people on the screen. I'd never been to a movie before, and I was watching, it was John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, and they were singing and dancing and dressing up, and it was love and, cars, and I was just gobsmacked.
Yeah.
I didn't know. I was just like, whatever that is up there, I want to do. But I always knew, like growing up, I was extremely thin. I was made fun of. I was called toothpick legs and olive oil. And, unfortunately, it seems like every teenager goes through all that. Peer pressure and not loving themselves and their body. And I hated it. And I, when they would make fun of me, I would just say, one day. Yeah. One day. So it was just always this drive to become an actress. And then when, after high school, I was like, I've got to get to LA somehow. And I decided that the best way and the smartest way was through an education. And so I had applied to UCLA and USC. And so that's kind of how the career started. I didn't just want to go to LA blind. I know a lot of people do, and that's the way that they become successful. And, we all have our own journeys, but I wanted to do mine while earning a degree in theater, and I did. I got a Bachelor of Arts degree, and I was very proud of myself. And
how long did you stay out in LA?
14 years.
After you got Bachelor of Arts?
I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in theater from USC, and then it was just like, what's next? I really went through this sort of, I guess it was a depression, if you will, because, all I knew were the steps that I could take. Like, I could graduate high school, I could go to college, I could get a degree, but how do you become an actor? Right. It's kind of like, that's when, you're at the edge of the diving board and you're like, well, what now, God? Where do I go to now? And so that was really challenging for me. Yeah. And it was funny because that was kind of at the moment where I got the closest to God.
Okay.
And I started journaling, and I actually read this book at the time. It was called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and I recommend that to a lot of actor friends and students that I coach as well. It's The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, and it basically teaches you how to nurture that artist inside. And I was like, God, please show me a sign of whatever apartment I'm supposed to move into in LA, because I always knew who you live around. That's your family. That's the people that's gonna be my family, because I didn't have family in LA. All my family were back here in Texas. And so I asked for that sign and let it go. And then my roommate at the time, she's like, let's go look at apartments. I found this one great apartment off of Rossmore Avenue, which was an amazing, it's right near Paramount Studio. So we went and, we met with the manager. She was sweet. She reminded me like of an elder aunt or a grandmother type, and I just instantly bonded with her. And then we went up to the 4th floor for this apartment that had become vacant. She opens the door, I walk in, and literally, Paul, it was the top of the cross of the cathedral the Catholic Church was like, bong. Like, I swear, if I would have made a movie of that, you know what I mean, of that moment, it would have been like the gong of the church bell would have rang as I entered. It was that specific. And I was like, wow, God, wow. And it was literally on the fourth. I didn't see the church driving in, but when I was up on the first floor, walked into the apartment, it was right there through the sliding doors in the living room. And it was beautiful. Of course, we took that apartment. And I mean, my room, I got to hear the church bells every day, and I continued that process. And I remember I used to have artist nights at that apartment where I'd invite all of my friends over, actors, musicians. And it was an evening of sharing, and we would, you know, everyone would come and they would share, like if they played the guitar, they'd share a song or a monologue or a short that they wrote. Just,
cool.
You know, or a joke. It could have been as simple as a joke. And I think I shared about my grandmother or read one of her letters to me. But it was so magical. And so I had these great memories that way. And then, of course, you know, getting into acting, it wasn't as easy as you think.
Right.
And so I was determined. Like, I was like, to get an agent and get my SAG-AFTRA card. Yeah. And so I started doing background work.
Okay.
With, I think, Cinex and Central Casting at the time, and would get on sets and was learning things. And of course, you know, you want to be on the other side, but I knew there was a process. And I wanted to get my SAG card because in LA, and like, you know, Texas or other right to work states, you have to be a union actor to work, or to even have an agent really give you time at the time. And being a part of the union to me at that moment was, I was joining this group of actors that came before me that set a legacy. You know, actors that I had admired and watched in movies and television. Like, they belonged to this sister and brotherhood, this union of protection, and I didn't know all of the things that I do now, but I just knew that it was something you wanted to be in, and something that was going to make me be a true actor. And so I gave myself 2 weeks. I was actually studying at the time at the Beverly Hills Playhouse with Milton Katselas and Jeffrey Tambor and Al Mancini. It was right after college. And it was a great place to study at because it was like the real deal. Like, you get up on stage and you would get, you know, if you weren't doing it right, you would, you know, it was brutally honest coaching and critiquing, and you learn more by watching others get brutally critiqued, but it was good. And the confidence that I was learning as an actor at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, the confidence in just my ability to be a squeaky wheel. To stand out, to make a noise, to go to an agent's, you know, office and knock on the door, to leave a headshot at a casting director's, you know, drop-off box in front of their office, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or to go and see them, or to send a note. Like, the actions that scare you were the ones, and are the ones to this day, that bring me success. Because if you stay the same, and if you stay comfortable, success can't find you. Or your future, whatever that may look like, can't find you. I gave myself 2 weeks to become a SAG-AFTRA member. And I spoke it. I'm like, okay, I've got 2 weeks to get my SAG-AFTRA card. At the time, I'm sorry, it was just SAG, because SAG and AFTRA had not done. I've got 2 weeks to get it. So what did I do? I became the squeaky wheel. I called up on I think it was Central Casting. Central Casting was the union casting hotline for union actors. Yeah, but for the union ones, because there's a difference. There's a difference in pay. It's better pay. And so even though I wasn't union at the time, I'd call that, and they, you know, you would like listen to a recording at the time. It was like, okay, we need this and that. You know, they would describe the demographics, and I think one of them was like, okay, we need girls in a bikini to do a hot tub scene, you know, and for such and such show. And I was like, absolutely. You know, and then they would see your picture in the profile, and they're okay, great. And I got 1 voucher, and then 2 voucher, and I don't even know what the show was that I got the 3rd voucher. But I got it within the 2-week time period. And I remember once I had the 3 vouchers, that allowed you to join the union. My friend Ivan at USC told me, he said, Mykle, I really believe that your career is going to happen when you are like a mom, when you're older, when you're a mother's age. You know, when you can play the mom is what I think he said. And I was like, at the time, of course, my ego did not want to hear that, because I was like, oh, no, because Mykle wanted to be the ingenue. Like I literally, Paul, I went, when I was in LA, when I was studying at the Beverly Hills Playhouse, and I think even when I moved out to USC, I dyed my hair blonde. I was, dressing, just to show my body. I just was trying to become, I don't know, Marilyn Monroe, or I don't even know who I was trying to become. Lisa Kudrow and Friends was popular at the time. I was just trying to be someone that I wasn't.
Right.
And I wasn't owning my authenticity. And I mean, I was still cute. Don't get me wrong, Paul.
Acting. Yeah.
I was acting. But he told me this, and he was so right, because it wasn't until I moved back to Texas after I had become a mom, and I was married, and that relationship didn't work, and we separated, and I had this place of hitting rock bottom where I encourage every actor to visit at some point in their life, because it is that rock bottom place, and not even actors, every artist, because it is that rock bottom place that just, it's the phoenix. You become the phoenix, and you rise to heights that you couldn't even fathom, couldn't even formulate when you were in that ego-centered, dyeing your hair blonde, trying to be Marilyn Monroe or whatever state. Right. It is really when you own your fears and insecurities and your past hurts and your past pain. See, I thought to go to LA, I just wanted to become famous. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to make it, because then everyone would love Mykle, and I would be famous and successful and win awards and have money and just that, whatever that looked like, pretty woman lifestyle. Right. And it was the complete opposite. I had to come back to Texas, not wanting to come back to Texas, but being here because, circumstances. I was a single parent. I didn't want to raise my child without, in LA or New York, without help. I couldn't afford it, and I needed family, and Texas is where I'm from, and I was able to give my daughter the gift of being with grandparents and cousins and aunts and uncles, and give her a childhood that has been magical and amazing for her, to give her sort of a sense of what I got with my grandmother and my family in the country. So yeah, I hit a rock bottom place, and I made other people and situations my passion and my drive, and I forgot about myself, and I forgot what was it that little girl at 4 and 5 years old wanted to do. She wanted to entertain people, and she just wanted to make people laugh, and she wanted to make herself happy. And I got back to that place, thank God. And it was funny because there was a McDonald's commercial that I had, and I was like driving from Houston to Dallas, Houston to Austin, like nonstop. And I would even tell my actors, my acting students, I was like, I am so tired. I've been on callbacks. I'm not booking anything. I'm driving. I'm wasting all this money. I'm just having a meltdown moment. And then I heard about this McDonald's commercial, and they were looking. It was a national McDonald's commercial shooting in Dallas, and they were looking for a high tea lady. I heard, high tea lady. I'm like, okay. It was the first commercial audition I think that I had that I knew I was like, okay. It wasn't that I was going to try to be someone other than I was. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you'll go to a commercial audition and you want to become what the character is. Okay, the mom, she's stressed. Okay, what does that look like? What outfit could I wear? But high tea, I was like, I got this, and I drove to Dallas, and, I put my dress on there to not wrinkle it, and my pearls, and I did my hair up, and very, I was in character, and some of the other actors that were auditioning before me had seen me in the bathroom, and they're like, oh yes, you look great. And anyway, I was waiting in the lobby, my high tea self, to go into the audition. And there was another actress friend of mine, and she came in, and she was just in a frazzled state. She came in, she didn't have her lipstick on, she didn't have her headshot, and I was like, okay, I can either, the angel and the devil right here. Right. I can either ignore it and focus on myself, or I can be a friend and be like maybe what someone else would want to do for me. Mm-hmm. So I went over and I said, hey, you can, I hear you don't have your headshot there. So I said, you can just go on your Actors Access and have them print it out for you and staple your resume to it. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. And so she went to the, assistant check-in and was able to get that. And I said, and by the way, I noticed at the first audition you had on red lipstick. You're more than welcome to borrow mine. And I let her borrow it. And so there was some time for her to put her lipstick on and get it together and get her headshot. And then we went in as a group of 3 into the, audition, and the director instantly grabbed my headshot and directed the conversation to me. It's like, "Oh, USC." I was like, "Yeah," because he is a director from LA, and I felt kind of weird because he didn't talk to the other 2 actors, and it was like, okay, and then showtime, okay, action. And so then we had to do the scene and everything like that. Great. And then we left, and my friend thanked me afterwards. She's like, "Thank you so much for," no problem. Well, needless to say, we all booked.
Sweet.
And they're both amazing women of God, and we still, connect via social media, and it was just a beautiful experience. And it was within that period that I literally, Paul, something happened. Like, booking that commercial was great, and it was my first national commercial actually that I booked when I was a mom, like Ivan told me. But that commercial, it wasn't the success of getting a national McDonald's commercial that was the ultimate prize, if you will, for me. It was the fact that I was able to, first of all, help someone and have success at the same time, but also that I was able to realize my personal sense of self-worth as an actor, and that I had a gift and that no other actor could give. And so when you learn that it's not about where you're at or who's got more or less than you, and you realize that you, Paul, that you, Mykle, have something that is a gift to the world that only you, Oprah says this, that there's a gift that only you can bring to the world and share with the world. And when you get that as an actor, to me that's success. When there's something that only you can give to this world. And I learned that, and I got that, thank God, back here in Texas, after being demoted, if you will, as an actor, because they see us all as these, we're local actors. Yeah. And hand on my heart, I have been more successful living in Texas. It's not that I'm a local actor. I'm an actor. I'm a union SAG-AFTRA member. I am here living in Houston for a reason, in Texas, and it's because wasn't my plan. It was God's plan for me to come back here. Never in your wildest dreams, when I was heading to LA or living there in LA, would you have told me you're going to move back to Texas, you're going to become a single parent, you're going to own your own acting studio, you're going to, get your SAG-AFTRA health insurance because you're a working actor and you're making enough, which I do not take for granted. That is the best thing about being a union actor, is getting your insurance, especially when you become a parent. Yeah. But never, if they would have told me that, I would have believed them. So after that McDonald's commercial, I'd literally, Paul, within 2 weeks, I have something with a 2-week time period. Within 2 weeks, I booked 3 commercials, 2 nationals. It was the McDonald's, it was a National Miracle Whip, an HEB Super Bowl spot, and a lead and a role in a play, The Columnist, within 2 weeks. The McDonald's commercial helped me to see that the gifts and the things that I have been blessed to have in my life, the high teas with Grandma Elvis and my friend Georgia, I'm half Hispanic. Nobody knows that about me. My mother's Spanish. Honoring my true self, honoring this wild, crazy Texan, Spanish, mama, just owning me and loving dressing up and loving being the diva and dressing up and not hiding my light, because for the longest time I thought, it's so weird, I just felt like I couldn't shine my light as bright as I knew it could go. As bright as Grandma Elvis shined her light. Like she didn't care. Yes. If she was dressed up and you weren't, kind of like I feel today.
Sorry.
No! She did not care because she dressed for herself. It's just about, and it's not even being selfish, it's just honoring that who God created you to be, and being that who you are, and not letting anyone or any circumstance, or not having enough money, or not having the leading TV series yet, not allowing any other factor to dictate who and what you can be. Yeah. If you want to shine, shine as bright as you need to. Don't look for permission. RuPaul says this. He says, you were not created to stand in. You were created to stand out. And so it was like an accumulation of all that. I was going to auditions not needing the role to pay my mortgage. Right. I was going into auditions to have fun and not needing the money. And that's when the money came. Yeah. And that's when the money comes, when you don't need it. And that's with anything, when you don't need the relationship, that's when the soul partner comes in. When you learn to love yourself and don't look for love or your sense of self-worth in another person, when you love yourself, that's when true love finds you, I believe. Yeah. So, yeah, I've learned so much. And it's just been 10 years since I've been back here. And, you know, I say this to my mom all the time. I say, God, Mom, if I was who I was today, 10 or 15 or 20 years ago when I was living in LA, of course I'd be on every show and over won the Oscar already. But that wasn't how my journey went down. And that's not how it was supposed to happen. And I can't wait to share my story of success in Hollywood with people, because, you know, what happened to one actor this is my story. This is how it went down for me. And I am so, never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that moving back in Texas, I would have my own acting studio and I'd be able to coach actors and give them what I love. And it's not even about coaching them necessarily for, you know, a role. I do a lot of like life coaching, where I help a person to heal and follow that dream. And, you know, I'm always sending my students to LA or New York or to, you know, Vegas, like, go follow that dream. Yeah. I'm giving them permission to.
You are the president of the local chapter of SAG.
Of Houston, Austin, yes.
Houston, Austin.
Yes.
And so as a member of the union, both out in LA and here in Houston, when should a non-union actor who's heard all of these different voices in their head as to when to join or not join, in your opinion, when's the best time for them to join?
It should come when you're at a point in your career where you feel you need to take your career to another level, where you need to set the standard for those that are coming, you know, behind you. It is an honor, and it is a rite of passage, and it is a privilege to be a union member because of what it stands for. And it is all about protecting the actor, protecting the actor's image, fighting for working wages, fighting for what's right. And, you know, those actors back in the 30s, they stood together, they banded together when it was a time of the studio system owning the actor and keeping them there for hours. You know, Mary Pickford, and they joined together and they band together and they said, no, we're gonna set some laws here. We're gonna stand up, we're gonna put our foot down. And that's where the origins of our union come from. And I'm their legacy. And I have a torch that I'm carrying. And I'm passing that torch to my daughter and her generation and my grandkids' generation. I am helping to pass that. And that means a lot to me. So that's what being in the union to me means. And everyone's gonna have their own personal choice of when they wanna join, where they wanna join. I'm just sharing what I've experienced being a union member, and I see countless actors all over, not just in Texas, but in, you know, Seattle and New York and California and Arizona and Florida, friends of mine, other union brothers and sisters that are fighting the fight, and they're standing up and they're educating actors in their area to be union. And we don't get paid to do this. My mom's like, you should get paid to be the president of SAG-AFTRA in, you know, in Houston, Austin. I'm like, Mom, that's not what we do. This is my community service. This is my volunteerism. This is what I give back to my community because I believe in what it stands for. And I do. It's as simple as that, Paul. I believe in what the union stands for. I believe in where the union is going. You know, it's a great, I wanted to get to this. It's a great time. I don't know why I'm making a triangle. It's a great time in our industry as an actor, and it's changing. Things are changing, and the union knows that. Everything's going digital, Paul. And we're at a point in our careers collectively as artists, not just here in Texas, not just here in America. We're talking globally where things are changing. And SAG-AFTRA knows that. The union knows that. And we want to help to set the standards of what it's going to take for actor, you know, what's going to be fair. What do we consider a fair wage? Change is inevitable. Right. Change is the only constant thing. And our industry we are in a state of change right now. And so we have to go with that. And you know, my union brothers and sisters in SAG-AFTRA are leading the way for that. And I'm excited and I'm proud to be a part of that, because we don't know where things are, you know, we know everything's going digital, but we don't know what's going to consist of a fair wage. So I'm hoping that a lot of our Texas pre-members, especially now with the explosion of film and TV work that's happening, the new studios that are being, you know, put up in New Mexico. New Mexico is going to be the next Atlanta, if not surpass Atlanta, in my opinion. With so many actors working here in Texas, I'm hoping that they will, you know, it's not even hoping, it's they will not be able to work but one union job, or work one job unless they become a union member in the state of New Mexico.
Gotcha.
There are a lot of us that are wanting to raise the bar with Texas, and I'm hoping that you know, we get that. There are film studios in Austin. You know, there's a lot of potential. There's a lot of areas. Texas has a lot to offer as far as filming, and our crew is amazing. And our people, we're good people to work with, and we're cinema storytelling. It is such a powerful medium. That's why I believe that every actor, every artist is divinely given that gift, because, you know, I'll speak for myself as an actor. I feel that God has given me this platform for a reason. It's not just for my glory, it's for His glory. And it's to give and share my journey with someone else. And my only hope is just to inspire someone to follow their dream. No matter how young, how old, how whatever, just follow your dream, and nothing can stop you. Not a lack of money, nothing can stop you. If you have a dream, you can accomplish it, but you have to speak it. You have to say it. You have to believe it. You have to share it with other people. No one's going to hire you for an acting role unless you believe you deserve that role. And so I think storytelling is never going to die. I hope not, because storytelling is what's shaped me. It's what has taught me about my ancestors, the stories my grandmother shared with me, the letters she wrote to me, and her legacy continues through me. And so being an actor, in my opinion, it's not just being an actor and getting on that TV show or booking that commercial. It's, what can I give to make this world a better place? What can I share that only I, remember back to the quote, what can I share with the world that only I can do? Then do that, and let your life be that, and do whatever you have to do, whatever side job to support that, you know, do it because you believe in the product of yourself and the voice and the message of what you have to share, because one day there'll be someone, Paul, and maybe more than just some one person, that'll be listening to me speak or being interviewed or see a film I'm in or a TV show, or hope, you know, reading my book, holding my book in their hands, that's going to get something that's going to change the course of their life, and then the world is going to be a better place.
Texas is very thankful for Mykle McCoslin here today. Please look for the links down below. As soon as her book is available, we'll be putting a link down there. Please take a look at that.